Right, so this will be a Yogalates inspired workout video, which means just a combination of yoga and Pilates, which the name suggests. We'll be doing a number of different things, so core stability exercises for the hips, as well as some balance work. Right, quick disclaimer, obviously I have to do this every time. I can't see you, I can't correct your form, and I can't take your personal injuries into account. So you'll be doing the exercises in this video at your own risk. Alright, to start, you're going to come to lie flat on your back. Right, so knees are bent, feet are hip distance apart, and they're parallel to each other. Right, so from here what you're going to do, we're going to come into bridge, but we're going to tuck the hips under first. So you're going to tuck the pelvis back, connecting the lower back to the floor, arms alongside the body. Make sure the backs of the heels are only just out of reach of the fingertips. Right, arms alongside the body, start to peel the hips up and away from the floor. Good, bridge pose. Right, extend high up into the hips, but not so high that you end up compressing into the neck area. Give yourself plenty of room here so that you can breathe effectively. Right, this is actually my favourite strengthening exercise for the glutes, and this is a really good one for the lower back. Alright, we're going to hold it here for a few more breaths, and then I'm going to give you the option of progressing the exercise. Just make sure the feet are parallel to each other and your knees don't drop inwards. If your knees drop inwards, you'll defeat the object of the exercise. Alright, contract into the glutes. Right, option one, you're going to stay exactly where you are. Option two, you're going to do knee marches. So I'm keeping my hips symmetrical as best I can, and I'm trying to keep my hips this high. From there, I'm going to lift my right foot off the ground, and I'm bringing my right knee to the chest. I slowly plot that foot back down where it originally started, and then I'm going to switch. Do this as slow as you need so you can maintain good form. And this is a lot more challenging than it looks. Alright, we're going to hold it there for another 8 breaths. Keep the hips symmetrical, remember to breathe. Alright, 4 more breaths. Last 2. Go from there, slowly lower down. Vertebrae by vertebrae, come to lie flat. Alright, keep the feet where they are. So you're going to just drop the knees over to one side, bring them back in and go to the opposite. So this is a light, nice, easy, mobilizing exercise for the hips and also for the lower back. Right, we'll just hold it there for a couple breaths and then we'll progress into some core work. Good, spin the knees back in. Alright, so just like with the previous exercise, I'm going to give you options within this this core sequence. So both options, you want to get a pelvic tilt. Same pelvic tilt we've already done. Push the lower back into the ground. Now from here, option 1, legs parallel to the ceiling. So keeping that pelvic tilt so your core is engaged, you bring one knee to your chest, pull that knee in, and extend the opposite leg out, and switch. Option 1. Option 2, you're going to incorporate the upper body. So keeping that pelvic tilt, you support the back of the head, lift the shoulders up, and you take elbow to knee. As you take elbow to knee, extend the opposite leg out and lower it down before you alternate. So slow motion, bicycle sit-ups. So option 1 and 2. Right, when you're ready, pick your option. Pelvic tilt, legs parallel to the ceiling. Either keep the head connected to the ground or elevate the shoulders. Right, so I'm going to start my set at 20. So as I exhale, take left elbow to right knee. My left shoulder is completely off the ground. I'll come back to center and switch. Do this in your own time. So we're going for a set of 20. Do these slowly. They're far more effective. And as you take elbow to knee, really try and lift that shoulder off the ground. And make sure you extend the opposite leg out and drop it towards the floor. if I'm counting correctly, we're halfway. So last 10. Right, last 6, I think. Right, last 4. We're going to hold. Good, switch. 3 more. So the shoulders completely off the ground and hold. Back to center, switch, last 2. Switch. And release. Good, take a deep breath. Alright, so from here you're going to extend your right leg out straight, drop it to the floor, bring the left knee to your chest. Now you're going to take your right hand to the outside of that left knee, and you're going to track the left knee over towards your right. You're going to bring your left arm out to the side, and you're going to ground that left arm and shoulder to the floor. So your left knee doesn't need to make contact with the ground, just pushing it in that direction works into stretching out the outer hip. And you're looking over towards the opposite hand. You release. Alright, bring everything back to center. Now from here, let's switch. Left leg out. Drop that foot to the ground. Bring the right knee to your chest. Take the left hand to the outside of the right knee. Right arm out to the side. Track your right knee over to your left. Keep this arm and shoulder glued to the floor. And look over to that right hand. Good, let's bring everything back in. Alright, so we're going to go into happy baby pose, and the pose, the name certainly fits the pose. Alright, so you're going to bring the soles of the feet so they face the ceiling. You're going to grab hold of the outer heels, and then as you exhale, elbows to the inside of the knees, pull down. Right, so if you're pretty tight in the backs of the legs, grabbing hold of the outer heels might not be accessible to you. So if that's the case, grab hold of the ankles or slide the hands a little lower down to wherever it is that you can get a grip. Flex the toes down, and every time you exhale, try and take your knees a little closer to the floor. Right, I know this is a pretty ridiculous looking pose, but it does stretch into groin and the backs of the legs, so it's worth doing if you're tight in those areas. Right, I'm going to work a little bit into the hamstrings here. So if you find this challenging enough, stay exactly where you are. If you're relatively open into the hamstrings and you want to progress it, so I'm keeping my left knee bent, I'm pushing my right foot up to the ceiling. You don't have to get the right leg completely straight either, you can keep a little micro bend. Right, I'm bending back into that right knee and I'm going to switch. So I'm pushing the left foot up, I bring that knee back in, and I switch. So again, this is optional, you can just stay in standard happy baby if that's sufficient for you. Right, we'll give it a few more breaths here and then we'll move on. Good, 6 breaths. Four more breaths. Good, last 2. And let's release. Good, right, let's bring the knees to the chest, hug the shins, and from there you're going to rock forward and back. Good, from here let's come through to a seated position. Alright, so knees are bent, back is straight. You're going to take the hands under the knees, lean back, and then lift the lower legs up. Right, I'm going to give you the option to progress this exercise as well, but if you find this challenging enough, stay where you are. Option 1. Option 2, I'm going to go for a twist. So I'm going to turn to a side angle. So I'm going to interlace the hands and I'm going to take them over to your right. So I'm mirroring you. And again, if this is too much, stay in option 1. Alright, now from there I'm going to take the hands over to your left. Good, keep that back straight, breathe. From there, see if you can take the arms up to the ceiling. They don't have to go all the way up. If that's as far as you can go, that's great. If you can take the arms all the way back, perfect. Alright, back to the right. I'm not going to make you hold this for much longer. Over to your left. Good, slowly up to the ceiling. As far as you can get it, you don't have to take it all the way. Release the hands, 2 more breaths. And release. Good, from here let's come through to a tabletop position. Right, so hands are shoulder width apart, knees hip distance apart. Let's move into cat and cow. So as you inhale, you're going to drop your navel to the ground. Roll the shoulders back, look forward. Exhale, flex upwards. Right, keep doing these in your own time. Remember, as you breathe in, belly to the ground. Roll the shoulders back, look forward. Exhale, flex up. If you want to incorporate some side bends here, you can. So by side bends, I mean you take one shoulder to the hip and then alternate, so little side flexion movements. You can incorporate that in with your flexion and extension exercises, or you could just stay with a standard cat and cow. Good, last couple reps. Let's do 2 more. Good, so let's start back to a neutral position. From here you're going to make your way into Dolphin Plank. So, forearms to the ground, feet together, lower the hips. I'm going to give you 3 options here. So 1, modified Dolphin Plank. 2, stay in full plank progressions. So as I exhale, I'm going to come onto my big toes and I'm driving my shoulders forward past the elbows. Inhale, pull back. Right, you're going to hold it there for 8 breaths. If option 3 is too much, then option 1 or 2 instead. Good, 6 more breaths. Last 4. Two more breaths. Good, drop the knees and breathe. Right, when you're ready, you're going to shuffle the hips back and you're going to come to lie flat. Right, from here you're going to take the elbows underneath the shoulders. Right, I personally like back bends. I think they're great for the body's posture, but I know back bends aren't suitable for everyone. So if you feel like this is uncomfortable to you, if you want to lessen your back bend, take the forearms away from you, just keep the shoulders down. If you want to go a little deeper, keep the elbows under the shoulders or start to extend the arms out. Just make sure you keep your form so the shoulders don't scrunch up by the ears, they're down and back. And you can look forward or up, preferably not downwards. This is a good stretch for the abdomen as well, by the way. If your abs get too tight, the stomach muscles become too tight, that naturally restrict and start to pull your body forward, and it can also contribute to poor posture. Alright, release, come to lie flat. Take a deep breath. When you're ready, I'm going to adjust my mat. When you're ready, you're going to bring the elbows out so they're at a 90-degree angle relative to the shoulders and the forearms are parallel to each other. Right, you're going to tuck the chin in, look down, you're going to lift everything off the floor. Alright, we're going to do a set of 8. So as you exhale, you're going to lower down halfway. Inhale, you extend all the way back up. So let's start a set of 8. Exhale, lower down halfway. Inhale, lift as high as you can. Good, Good, last 6. Four more. Alright, last 2. Inhale, lift. Push the shoulder blades towards each other, draw the elbows down. Good, last 1. Inhale, lift. As high as you can and hold. Good, exhale, release. Alright, come to lie flat, take a deep breath. Alright, from here we're going to focus more on the lower body now. So you're going to either rest your chin on top of your forearms or on the mat, go with whatever you find to be more comfortable. Now from here you're going to take the feet as far out away from each other as they'll physically go, and then point your toes towards the back of the room. Alright, keeping your upper body grounded, just lift the lower legs up. If you've taken the feet far out away from each other, this is going to feel pretty awkward, but you should certainly feel that engaging into the outer hips. So glute mid and mid. Alright, keeping the lower body as high as you can. You're now going to toe tap. So you're going to tap the big toes together twice, and then take the feet as far out away from each other as they'll physically go, and then repeat. Alright, 6 breaths. Four more breaths. Keep the lower body high. And remember to take the feet as far out away from each other as they'll go. Alright, let's give it another 2 breaths. Try and lift to your maximum height. And release. Alright, so let's take the hands either side the chest. You're going to tuck the toes under and make your way into a downward dog. Alright, so a downward dog. Hands are shoulder width apart, feet hip distance apart. A downward dog, if you do it properly, it's going to stretch not only into the shoulders but also the hamstrings and calves. So you're going to pull your chest back away from your hands. You're externally rotating the upper arm, so your middle finger angles forward. You try and turn the crease of the elbow so it faces the front of the room, just slightly. Pull back and push the feet down. So you're trying to shift weight back over towards the heels. If you have really tight hamstrings, micro bend into the knees so you keep your back straight. Good, let's give it 4 breaths. Good, 2 more breaths. Alright, from the downward dog, you're going to make your way into a forward bend. So you can step, walk, or hop forward. Bring the feet so they're at least hip distance apart, and let the upper body be heavy. Alright, again, really tight hamstrings, bend into the knees so your lower back doesn't round, or if your hamstrings are open, keep the legs straight. Alright, choices here, you can grab hold of the elbows and rock side to side. Or you can grab hold of the big toes with the two index fingers. Elbows out, as you exhale, you pull yourself down. If you find a forward bend irritates your lower back, either bend into the knees or skip this stretch altogether. 4 breaths. Remember to relax the head, look backwards, not downwards. 2 more breaths. Good, inhale, slowly roll up into standing. You're going slow so there's no head rush. Good, take a deep breath once you're upright. Alright, so we'll move into our balancing sequence. I know you can't see my head or face due to the camera angle, but you don't need to for the next exercise. Alright, so I'm going to get you to bring the hands to the hips. You're going to ground that left foot. So make sure the toes stay connected to the floor and try not to let the arch of the standing foot collapse when you try and balance. Alright, ground the left foot and slowly start to send the right foot forward And now flex the toes backwards. Right, if you don't have great balance, keep the foot here. If you feel strong and you want to up it a notch, start to elevate that right foot. Try and keep your hips level to each other so the right hip doesn't hike up higher than the left. Keep the hip level symmetrical. Any point you lose balance, not a big deal. Come back into the exercise when you're ready. Right, slowly start to send your right leg over to the right. Now you can drop the foot to the ground first or go into the next part without dropping the foot. Right, so the right leg goes out laterally. Keep the toes of the right foot facing forward, and you can keep the foot again close to the ground or reach it out. You can shift a little bit of weight over to the left, but don't let the toes of the left foot disconnect from the floor. So again, ground that left foot, and we will stretch out the left leg in a moment. Alright, start to send the right leg backwards. Again, either drop it to the floor first or go into the next part without releasing the foot. Alright, so I'm keeping the toes facing down. You can stay upright, tilt, or bring the body parallel to the ground. Good. Make sure your right hip doesn't swing out. Let's give it 4 breaths here. And then we'll stretch out that left leg. 2 more breaths. Good. When you're ready, you're going to take your right foot to the outside of the left. Exhale, fold forward. Right, you can fold with the hands to the hips or to the ground. Good, inhale, slowly come back up. Let's release the feet. Alright, now from here you're going to bring the feet so they're about, you're going to go mat distance apart, and you're going to turn the toes out, heels in, so there's an external rotation going on with the feet. From there you're going to drive your hips backwards, bend into the knees and sink into the hips. Alright, now you can see me again. So you want to keep your back straight, your chest angled forward, and your knees facing the second or third toe. If the knees drop inwards, you defeat the object to squat it. Good, deep breaths. Right, if you want to progress it, see if you can get the hips so they're the same height as the knees. Right, we're going to hold it there for another 6 breaths. Either stay exactly where you are, or you're going to move a little bit with me. So I'm going to bring the hips a little lower than the knees, and I'm going to come up a little higher. Good, 4 breaths. 2 more breaths. Keep your squat form strong. Now from there, exhale, fold. Alright, let's come into a tabletop position. And from here, you're going to move into side plank on the left. So I'm going to go with the forearm option. So I'll give you 3 options in this exercise. So modified left elbow underneath the left shoulder, knees bent, lift up through the hips. Option 1, option 2, straighten out the legs. Option 3, I'm tapping right elbow to right knee. This is too much, stay on option 1 or 2. 6 breaths, keep the hips and torso facing forward. 4 more breaths. Last 2. Go release. Alright, come to lie on your left hand side. So take that left elbow back and rest your head into your left hand. Now from here, keep the bottom leg bent. That's going to help a little bit with balance. Straighten out the right leg. Then from there, you're going to turn the toes of the right foot downwards. Lift the right leg as high as it will go. Alright, with this exercise, we're working the internal rotators of the hips. So you want to keep your toes angled to the ground. If they turn up, you won't be hitting the muscle group I want you to strengthen. Right, so the leg is in line to hips and torso, the toes face down, and lift the leg as high as it will go. Right, pulse upwards 10 times. Good, last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back to your original starting point, make sure the leg is in line to hips and torso with the toes facing either forward or down. You're going to send the heel backwards, lift it up, bring it forward and repeat. Right, set a 10 and then we'll take a little breather. Now I've already lost count, but let's go with 5 more. Go 4, 3, 2, and 1. Go release. Good, take a deep breath. Alright, make sure the leg doesn't float forward. Keep it level to the center of the body. Alright, so our last set of 10. So, if the right leg is high as it will go, rotate the toes down. Keep the leg level to your hips. Pulse upwards 10 more times. Last set. Good, last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Oh, good. Right, tabletop position. We'll now stretch into the area we just worked. So we're going to go for pigeon on the right hand side. So you're going to take your right knee towards your right wrist. In the right foot in front of the left hip. And then when you're ready, start to send that left leg back. Right, you have the option of staying upright here or coming to lie flat. I'll quickly run through that technique again. So if you're already in the pose and you're familiar with this stretch, just stay where you are. If you've gotten a little confused, remember right knee goes behind the right wrist. And then you're bringing the right heel in front of the left hip, and then you're driving the left leg back. Make sure your weight doesn't sink over to either side, otherwise, again, the stretch won't be as effective. If you find this is horribly uncomfortable to your knees, take this option instead. It will stretch out the same area, there's just less tension on the joints because you can dictate how far you want to go. Alright, we're going to give it another 6 breaths, and then we're going to switch sides. 4 more breaths. You should really feel the stretch after those glute pulses. 2 more breaths. Go, release. Right, from here, let's make our way back into a tabletop position. And then from there, downward dog. Tuck the toes under, pull up and back. Good, so remember hands are shoulder width apart, feet hip distance apart, pull backwards and push the heels downwards. And micro bend into the knees if you have tight hamstrings. Good, alright, let's make our way back into a forward bend so you can step or hop. And now from a forward bend position, you're going to shuffle the feet. So there's a wide gap out between the heels. If you have really tight hamstrings here, use a block or a set of books, something that you can rest your hands on. So make sure the arches of the heels don't collapse. You're going to take the hands directly beneath the chest. And then from there, as you inhale, you're going to take the mirror me. So you're going to take the right arm up to the ceiling and you're going to look up to face that right hand. You should feel that across the inner thigh of your left leg. If you want to progress it, if you have the openness in your hamstrings and shoulders, you could take your left hand to the outside of that right ankle. You release, back to center and switch. Right, so remember I always give the option out in my classes. If you get pain with overhead movement, just take the hand to the hip and rotate the shoulder back instead. I forgot to suggest that on the other side. Right, if you want to progress it from here, right hand to the outside of the left knee. And again, you're mirroring me. You're not doing the same side as me. Right, release. Back to center. Right, shuffle the feet a little closer in. Hands to the hips. Inhale. Slowly roll up. Right, let's bring the feet together. And now let's switch. So we're going into our balancing sequence on the right. So start by shifting weight onto your right foot. Ground the right foot first, and then you're grounding the toes without letting the arch collapse. Right. Send the left foot forward and flex. So you're drawing the toes backwards. Either keep the foot at a low angle or start to gravitate that foot up. Keep the hips level to each other so your left hip doesn't hike up. And again, if you lose balance, come back in when you're ready. And try and focus your vision onto one point to help with stability. Right, when you're ready, you're going to slowly send the left leg over to the left, but keep the toes of the left foot facing forward. Then let the toes turn out to the side. Remember, you can drop the foot to the ground first if you find this is a little too challenging. Right, so now the leg goes at a side angle relative to the body. Again, close to the floor, or start to push that left foot out over to the left. Your weight will naturally shift a little bit over to the right, but keep the toes of the right foot connected to the floor. When you're ready, you're going to start to send that left leg backwards. And you can either stay upright here or start to tilt. Alright, I know balancing exercises are frustrating for a lot of people to practice, but they're worth doing. They're highly beneficial, not only to the joints of the standing leg, but they're a way to help improve your coordination skills as well, which is pretty important. Right, when you're ready, you're going to take your left foot to the outside of the right, and then as you exhale, fold. You can fold with the hands to the hips or drop the hands to the mat. Good, inhale, slowly come back up. Right, let's release the feet. Let's bring the feet once again, mat distance apart, toes out, heels in. So only a slight external rotation. Alright, so you're going to drive the hips back, bend into the knees and sink. So a squat position. Alright, keeping the back straight, make sure the knees don't concave in. Chest faces forward. If you start to tilt, you'll notice in this position there's far less strength working to the lower body. So the chest is at an angle relative to the hips, not parallel to the ground. Alright, if you want to progress it, try and get the hips knee high. Good, 6 breaths. If you want to up it a notch, start to lower down and then just slightly elevate. Not too high, not too low. Alright, 4 more breaths. Keep the knee angle to the midline, second or third toe. 2 more breaths. Exhale, fold. Tabletop position. Now side plank on the right. Right, so 3 options. Take the right elbow underneath that shoulder so the forearm faces away from you. Option 1, lift up through the hips. Option 2, straighten out the legs. Option 3, I'm going to knee tuck. So I'm taking left elbow to that left knee and then I extend back out. Alright, 6 breaths. Keep the hips and torso facing forward. 4 more breaths. That is my hip clicking. 2 more breaths. Get ready. So come to lie on your right hand side. Take that right elbow back and rest your head into your right hand. Bend into the bottom knee. Right, so strength work for the glute min and med. So rotate the toes of the left foot down and lift the left leg up as high as it will go. Make sure it's level to hips and torso. Right, pulse upwards 10 times. Right, last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back to your original starting point. Right, now you're sending that heel back, bringing it up, taking it back forward, and then repeat. So when you bring the foot back, you're bringing it back to its original starting point. You're not bringing it forward past the midline of the body. Right, last 5. Keep the leg high. 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright. Drop the leg, take a deep breath. Alright, so remember this muscle is stabilizing muscle, not just for the hips, but for the knees as well. And unless you do certain side wave movements, like side plank for instance, or this exercise, unless you do certain side wave movements, you won't generally hit that muscle group that effectively. Right, let's do a last set. Turn the toes down, lift the leg up, keep it level to the hips and torso, pulse upwards 10 times. Good, last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. Right. Tabletop position. When you're ready, pigeon left hand side. So left knee behind the left wrist, and the left foot out in front of the right hip, and then drive your right leg back. Alright, remember you can stay upright here or come to lie flat. And again, if you don't like how this feels on your knees, take the option I demonstrated earlier on your back instead. Good, good. 6 breaths. Four more breaths. Last 2. Alright, so release. So you're going to straighten out the arms. You're ready to make your way back to the tabletop position. And then from there, a downward dog. So last downward dog for today. Toes tucked under, pull the hips up and back. Right. Externally rotate the upper arms, keep the middle finger facing forward, pull the chest backwards and pull the hips back. Push those feet down. 2 more breaths. Good, drop the knees. Right, so let's finish off with some chest stretches. So I'm just going to try and find a spot that I think will be easy enough to see me from the camera. Right, so you want to find like a flat surface. So something you can just place your palm on flat. So we're going to work into stretching out the chest area. There's actually there's a video on my YouTube page where I detail this stretch and I'll give you 3 variations of it. We're just going to do one for today. So again, this will be another good postural corrective exercise because you'll be stretching into a key area that will contribute to slumped shoulders. So palm is flat. Important detail here is that the crease of the elbow faces upwards. You could do this from standing, by the way. I'm just doing it from a kneeling position so you can see my form. Right, so the crease of the elbow faces up. And you see that draws my shoulder down. The crease of the elbow faces forward, you've internally rotated the arm. So keep that shoulder down. Crease of the elbow angled up. So you're leaning that shoulder in and you're pulling the opposite shoulder back. Now if you're standing, you could step. If you're on the left hand side, step the left foot forward and then turn that right shoulder back. Good, release. Alright, shrug that arm out. Or shrug both arms out. And now we're gonna switch. So the arm is in line to the shoulder and the palm is flat. So now you get to see it from another angle. So the palm is flat. Make sure again the shoulder is down and the crease of the elbow faces up. Now you're leaning that arm in and you're pulling the opposite shoulder back. And if you're on the right hand side, you can step the right foot forward and then turn the left shoulder backwards. Just again, make sure the shoulder doesn't turn in. Good, release. Again, shrug the arms out. Right, let's finish off with, for the chest, let's go with one more chest stretch before we do some stretches from a seated position. So palms forward, arms back interlace and take the arms away from the body. If you don't have good shoulder mobility, you can use a strap and that will naturally give you a little bit of leverage. If you're using the strap, just make sure the palms face forward and the thumbs face away from you. If you don't need a strap, if you get enough leverage without one, then go without. Alright, 4 breaths. Keep the shoulders above the hips and the ears above the shoulders. 2 more breaths. Good release. Alright. Right, let's come back through to a seated position. Right, so feet forward, knees bent. Don't have the heels so far away from the lower body or from the hips, not too close either. Right, so we're just going to take a little spinal twist. So keeping your back straight. Inhale, take the arms up. And you're going to mirror me. So as you exhale, you're going to take your left hand to the outside of the right. You're going to use your right arm to position yourself upright, keeping your back straight. And then as you exhale, you're going to turn to face the back of the room. So you're rotating over that right shoulder. Good. Inhale, arms up. And now switch. Exhale, take right hand to the outside of the left knee. Left hand goes underneath that left shoulder, keeping your back straight. As you exhale, rotate over that left shoulder. Good, release. All right, back to center. All right, last one for the lower back. Inhale, left arm up, sweep it over to the right. Back to center and switch. Good, alternate in your own time. If you want to go a little deeper, bend into the base elbow, and that will enable you to flex a little deeper into the side. Good, release. All right, so we're going to finish off with some chin tucks, and this is another exercise that will be highly beneficial to your posture, particularly, or your neck health generally. So you're going to set the shoulder blades back and down, gaze forward, take your 2 index fingers to your chin, and you're retracting your chin in backwards half to a full inch. You release and repeat. Nice and easy. I see a lot of students do weird things in my class when I give out this exercise. You don't need to exaggerate that much, you're just going back half to a full inch. Obviously I correct them when I see them doing exercises with that kind of form, but obviously I can't see whoever's practicing this video, so you need to be conscious of your technique. So don't exaggerate, and make sure your shoulders are down and back. You're not changing the direction of your gaze either. So you're just looking forward and bringing the chin back. Right. So this is a good preventative exercise to forward head posture. Essentially just gets your body used to repositioning the ears on top of the shoulders. Go, release. Okay, that's you guys done with for today, so thank you for joining me. If you have any questions, comments or feedback, feel free to get in touch through my Facebook page. Just type in Lydia Lacey Yoga either into Facebook or into Google, and you'll find all my contact details. All right, thank you very much.